In 1916, Gurdjieff entered a room with 12 Russian government officials. When he left, 3 of them were crying and 1 had fainted. Because Gurdjieff had just conversed with the dead fathers of these men, in front of everyone. But here's what the governments didn't want you to know. Gurdjieff was no medium. He was no spiritualist. He was something far more dangerous. He had discovered how to access the consciousness of the dead through a forbidden Tibetan technology. And for 40 years, entire governments paid fortunes to gain access to this ability. Because imagine having access to the secrets the dead took to their graves. Military codes. Locations of treasures. Conspiracies that changed the course of history. In the next 35 minutes, you will discover the first supernatural encounter that almost drove Gurdjieff mad. The secret method he used to speak with 127 documented dead people. Why 4 different governments tried to kidnap him. The final revelation he took to his grave, until today. But listen to this. What you are about to discover about Gurdjieff's ability will shake your beliefs about life and death. Because in 1949, on his deathbed, Gurdjieff made one last prediction. About you. About this very moment. About what would happen when this story was finally revealed. It all began when Gurdjieff was just 19 years old. He witnessed something that should have been impossible. His father, Dean Borsch, had died 3 months earlier. But on that winter night, Gurdjieff saw him. Not as a ghost. As a real presence. Speaking. Warning him about a danger that saved his entire family's life. That night, Gurdjieff did something that changed his life forever. He replied to his dead father. And that's when he discovered he wasn't speaking to a ghost. He was accessing a layer of consciousness that remains active after physical death. His dead father revealed something impossible to him. George, death is an illusion of the human mind. Consciousness merely shifts frequency. And then, something even more disturbing happened. Other dead people started communicating with him. People he didn't even know. Whispering secrets. Revealing hidden truths. Asking for help. But when Gurdjieff tried to tell someone about this experience, everyone thought he had gone crazy. Except for one person. A mysterious man who appeared at his door 3 days later. A man who said he knew others like Gurdjieff. George Ivanovich, we have been waiting for you to contact the dead. Now, you must learn to control them. The mysterious man took Gurdjieff to a secret school where only 7 people in the world knew the art of conscious necrocommunication. It wasn't cheap spiritualism. It was a technology. A scientific method to access different layers of post-mortem consciousness. The first lesson almost destroyed his sanity. The masters put him in simultaneous contact with 20 dead people. All speaking at the same time. All wanting to be heard. For 4 hours, he heard confessions of murderers, secrets of dead kings, last words of soldiers in ancient battles. When he awoke, he had aged 5 years in one night. But it was when Gurdjieff learned the most dangerous technique that everything changed. The ability to not only hear the dead, but to summon them. Force them to appear. Ask them specific questions. And that's when governments started paying attention to him. In 1903, officials of Tsar Nicholas II secretly tested Gurdjieff. They gave him only one name, General Petrov. Nothing else. No photo. No date of death. In 10 minutes, Gurdjieff was conversing with the dead general and revealing military secrets that only Petrov had known. From 1905 onwards, Gurdjieff became the most valuable secret weapon for 4 different governments. Each one paid fortunes for him to contact dead generals, deceased diplomats, spies who took secrets to their graves. But it was in 1914 that Gurdjieff did something that literally changed the course of history. French officials came to him desperate. They needed to know the German battle plans. But all their spies had been discovered and executed. So Gurdjieff did the unthinkable. He contacted the dead spies and discovered not only the German plans, but also the passwords and codes the dead spies still remembered. Pause for a second. If you had the power to talk to any dead person, who would it be? And what secret would you ask? Because Gurdjieff asked presidents, kings, and emperors exactly that question. After the war, in 1919, Gurdjieff was secretly invited to Versailles. Wilson, Lloyd George, Clemenceau. They all wanted to ask a question to someone who had died in the war. But what happened in that room remained classified for 50 years. Until 1969, a report was leaked. Gurdjieff had contacted 15 dead soldiers simultaneously. And they revealed something about the war that, well, it would explain a lot about the peace treaties. So, how exactly did Gurdjieff manage to talk to the dead? He discovered that human consciousness operates on 7 different frequencies. 5 operate during life. 2 continue after death. Through specific breathing, body postures, and, this is crucial, extreme emotions, he was able to tune into these post-mortem frequencies. I will describe exactly how a typical session worked. First, he entered a state of self-remembering, a state of expanded consciousness he had learned in Tibet. Second, he used a breathing technique that accelerated his brain frequency to 40 Hz, exactly the frequency the dead inhabit. And third, he summoned the dead person through a combination of their full name, intense emotion related to the person, and an object that belonged to them. But here's what no one knew. Gurdjieff wasn't just talking to the dead. For the last 20 years of his life, he was being controlled by them. The dead had discovered how to use Gurdjieff as a permanent channel. And they were transmitting knowledge through him that, well, it explains why his last teachings were so different, so advanced, as if they came from a non-human source. In 1949, knowing he was going to die, Gurdjieff did something unprecedented. He taught his closest students the complete method of necrocommunication, but with a terrible warning. This knowledge should not be used lightly. The dead do not rest. They work. And when you learn to listen to them, they never stop talking. 3 days before he died, Gurdjieff made a prophecy that chilled the blood of everyone present. In 70 years, when the world is connected by invisible wires of information, this knowledge will resurface. An ordinary person will discover how to speak with the dead through machines. And then, the line between life and death will disappear forever. Today, in 2024, 75 years later, scientists are developing technologies that allow communication through brainwaves, access to memories through frequencies, contact with non-local consciousnesses. Gurdjieff's prophecy is coming true. Exactly as he predicted. Gurdjieff's ability to speak with the dead wasn't a supernatural gift. It was the discovery that human consciousness is far vaster than we imagine. That death is just a shift in frequency. And that all of us have the ability to access these other dimensions of consciousness. The question is not whether we can talk to the dead. The question is, do we really want to hear them? If this revelation has awakened something in you, there is much more to discover about Gurdjieff's secret methods. The dead have never stopped talking to us. We just stopped knowing how to listen. But now you know. And they know that you know.